Hey guys, my name is RJ Johnston. We're going to take a review of somebody that we probably don't think about as a MAGA person, as an American First person, is somebody that we associate with going left more than we go right. But I've been noticing since, I don't know, Dr. Phil may still be on programs, may still be on ABC, NBC, one of those big ones. I don't watch TV anymore, but I did notice that he's starting to promote interviews and other things on the X platform. So I noticed some things looking at his X account and how they were sharing the media and how they were trying to drive traffic back to their website. And there are a few things stood out, so I wanted to take a few minutes, review Dr. Phil's content, review the new things that he's putting out, his X platform, and then also give them some actionable insights on ways that they could change if they wanted to monetize further, if they wanted to communicate with their users more. So a few tips or tricks of the trade, and take it, love it or take it or not or whatever. Take it or not or whatever. Couple pieces of advice and go from there. So let's dive right in. I'm going to share my screen. Boom! Dr. Phil! All right, let's not start there. Let's start at X. And I'm going to move my little recording screen over here so it's not in my way. Okay, X baby, X. Obviously, this is the platform where you get all your breaking news. Since Elon Musk bought this, people say that it's a right-wing site, and that's not true because there are a significant number of left-wing people on there. And actually, if you're on the right and you engage with content on the right and you go to your For You feed, I found that you actually start seeing a lot of the left-leaning influencers on there, which is kind of cool because you're getting both sides of the story. Unfortunately, if you interact with a lot of those left-leaning accounts, they're going to mute you, block you, and eventually cause you to get shadow banned. So be careful. All right, I'm going to jump right into Dr. Phil. So the first thing that attracted me to Dr. Phil recently was his interview with Donald Trump. And before his interview came out, before his debate with Joe Biden, and it was very telling because he had a good conversation. Dr. Phil didn't seem to have an agenda like he was leaning to the left or trying to bait Trump into questions. It was an honest interview using common sense as the premise for those questions. And I think that's a lot of things that we're missing today in media is common sense. I'm going to jump right in, and here we go. We're looking at Dr. Phil on X. And he's got this new media company, Merit Street Media. And Merit Street Media actually has a pretty decent lineup. And we'll show you that lineup here in a second. But the first thing I want to go and notice is I saw this article, this clip came out for George Santos. And when I looked at it, it was interesting. I started watching it, and then I realized it was only 4 minutes long and that there was a lot more content available. And I wanted to view that content. So as I scrolled down, I saw, oh, there's a full interview over here at Merit Plus. Assumingly that's Merit Street Media Plus, call it Merit Plus, it's whatever. First thing I noticed here is we don't have a thumbnail. This is probably the worst type of link that you put over on X. And it's definitely one that you want to update. You want to make sure you have the thumbnail for the piece of content so people are enticed to click on that link. I'd say there's probably 50 to 60% less clicks you get when you don't have that thumbnail that's available on there. Well, that's the first thing. We want to update those links. And now I'm going to click on the George Santos link. Watch it free. Okay. I'm here, I want to watch it, clicked on the link, watch the preview, the 4-minute clip over on X foreseeably. And when I come over here, I have to log in to start watching. Now, I understand the premise behind this. You want those people to become customers. You want to have their email address. You want to be able to market to them. You want to be able to send them when there are important content updates. So it's important that you get that piece of information. And that's something that a large amount of influencers do not get yet, is really how to grow your business beyond the platform that you're on. So at least here they have you signing up so they can capture that email. And I can tell you from personal experience, you do get a few emails. But what I did notice is when you go to sign in or you go to sign up, there's no click to say that you are accepting a newsletter email, which in a lot of cases, when you're using biggest services, they're going to go back and they want to make sure you have that check button that you can click. I noticed that it's not on here and I still get emails. So that's okay with me, but you may want to look into it. The second thing is you're not grabbing people's phone numbers. So if you're grabbing an email address, you need to grab the phone numbers in today's world, right? Email is still extremely effective. A lot of newer influencers don't realize how effective that is and how useful that is to build your business, to have that direct line of contact with the potential user or your viewer, your customer, but having that direct line of mode of communication back and forth to those viewers is paramount when you're trying to sell goods and services, when you're trying to build a following and you want to really bring people into your realm, bring people into, hey, this is what I have going on. So if you don't have that direct line of communication and you are cut off by, say, YouTube, or you're shadow banned by X, or you're having issues over on getting videos posted on TikTok, on Instagram, all those different places, those are controlled by other people, right? And so the drop of a dime, you could be cut off and all of a sudden lose access to millions of people that you've created those relationships with on those platforms. So that's why you have to grab that email. And then nowadays, you want to grab that text message. You want to grab that phone number so you can send text messages to your potential users, right? With email is about as effective as direct mail anymore. Direct mail, believe it or not, that's why you still get the mail. You still get that paper mail in your mailbox, and it says, free credit card. You get extended car warranty. And the reason that they still send that is because it's effective. Now, email is exactly the same. As you have spam filters and you have spam boxes and you get so many emails coming through, some people believe, well, there's no reason to send it. That's not true. That's not the case, especially when people are signing up and they're specifically checking a box saying, hey, I want to see this email. If you don't annoy them, if you don't send them multiple emails a day, mini emails per week, if you send them just targeted out once a week or based on content that they're interested in and notify them at that point, they will look for that email and want to engage with you. But if you overspam, you oversend out, there are some numbers you can send. If I say I send it to 100,000 people, I know there's going to be 0.5% that interact and actually click on the link. So you can use those numbers and send out more emails. However, you're going to start losing those people that are actually clicking. Your email has no intrinsic value anymore. They know it's just a spammy email. If you are using email, it's a great way to communicate, but don't overuse it. Okay? Text messages. Text messages are by far the most effective way to get in front of your customers immediately and make sure you're getting in front of them. The trick with text messages is, one, it's kind of expensive. When you send off an email, you can do it at fractions of a penny, or you can just send it through your existing email client. When you use text messages, you are interacting with Verizon, you're interacting with Comcast, you're interacting with the phone companies, and they tend to watch and tend to filter out that spam much more diligently than, say, an email provider would. Right? So you want to be careful if you have those emails and you're using that communication method that you don't abuse it. But it is significantly more converting than, say, an email. So you've got a couple different levels. But the point is, you want to make sure that you're capturing that information so that you can communicate with your customers. And we see Dr. Phil here does it through email. Going back to the content, I'm going to log in here because I have an account that I set up. It's a free account. It says plus, so that kind of leans to maybe I have to have a membership. And actually, when I started looking at Dr. Phil's site, I assumed that I had to have a membership to view that content. I don't know why. Maybe it was just late at night and didn't make sense, but I was trying to watch the live content and I had to sign in for that. It was kind of annoying having to jump in and create a whole account and get an email to verify. And Dr. Phil's system actually takes a little while before they send out those email verifications. So if I was solving one small problem right now, Dr. Phil, I would make sure my email provider sends out immediately. So people want to get it as soon as they say there's going to be an email coming out. They want to see it in their inbox. It's very easy to do, but it's one of those small things that people will look at and they'll want to engage with your brand more. Potential negative connotation that, hey, this is taking a while, so these guys don't have their stuff together, right? That's obviously not the truth, but that is the way that some people think, and you may lose that attention span from the time you send out that email before they engage with it. So I think it was at least a couple minutes for me to get mine, and yeah, you want to fix that. So, okay, I'm signed in, and I want to see the George Santos video. Watch my 4 minutes on there. I click on the link, it opens it up, assumed I'm signed in, and all of a sudden I can view the content. This is great. This content looks good. Let's turn on some volume.
He is a liar. George Santos, you've led people to believe you were Jewish.
Always said Jewish. My grandparents survived the
So we have good content. We have good sound on there. He has closed captioning. I did notice that the closed captions are frequently not aligned with what the person is saying at that time. So, Dr. Phil, if I were you, I would go in and work on my closed captioning a little bit, because it can be, I can hear it, but I also like to watch closed captions. Part of my family is partially deaf, so we're used to having closed captions for everything. And when it's off, it's a little annoying, frankly. All right. But you do have closed captionings, so just the fact that you have closed captions on there, that's a good thing. We didn't have to go through a bunch of big ads, so I'm not being spammed. Sometimes when you click ahead, it'll kick in an ad. On other platforms, it doesn't appear to be this way, so that's good. From a user perspective, that's a good way to interact with your broadcast center. Another one you posted was Rudy Giuliani, Robert Kennedy Jr. So this is really good content. This is MAGA content right now. This is America First content. This is the people that are feverishly voting for Trump. That is a market that wouldn't traditionally be Dr. Phil market. You wouldn't think. I mean, some of it, but they wouldn't think Dr. Phil, Donald Trump, RFK, Rudy Giuliani, George Santos. But it looks like Dr. Phil is leaning into the common sense approach. Right? So not just going after the hyperbole that comes out of politicians' mouth. He's really trying to come down and look at the problems that people have and what are those solutions that can actually be put into place and who's actually done what they said they're going to do. So I'm partial to Donald Trump, but I think it's great that Dr. Phil is bringing in these interviews, having the interviews, not baiting people into questions, but having genuine conversations. So for that purpose alone, I recommend watching some Dr. Phil content. But back to Dr. Phil and your media organization. I did notice that you have Roku channels. So here, let's open this up. See, it's a little 4-second. Okay, that's all it is. But it's excited to announce that some of my favorite shows and Dr. Phil are now available on the Roku channel. Also available free on Samsung smart channels, Amazon Fire TV, and Google TV. So Dr. Phil and his broadcast organization leaned into what's called the OTT, over the top, which is the alternative to your typical cable news. This is where you get your Netflix, your HBOs, it's not HBO anymore, it's Max, your Hulus, your Paramount Plus. And so you can download that channel on these platforms and consume this content. Now, I haven't went and downloaded this yet, so I can't exactly say how that content is being presented, how much of the content is available. So you'll have to download and check it out for yourself. But the fact that Dr. Phil did bring Merit Street Media onto those platforms is going to further his reach, which is good for a network that he's building outside the typical mainstream media format. Let's go over Dr. Phil. Let's check out some of his featured and his lineup. So first thing you see, he has a live stream. Hopefully I clicked on it in time. Doesn't look like it. Let's go back. I'm gonna click on the live stream. Be nice if it opened directly to the live stream from there, but it gives me another screen. Okay, so now I get to start watching. And yes, here we go.
The living daylights out of the Wall Street crooks.
Looks like he's playing some VOD content, so that means video on demand content that was already recorded, and they're putting it into a live stream. That's great, makes it easy to create engaging content and not have live people. That's a much more challenging thing to do. I don't know if they don't do that, but I'm looking, they're playing some VOD content right now, and that's fine. One thing that I would recommend, because you have that 24/7 live stream that's going on, put it up on X. You're not charging people to go into it. You're not getting any real value other than collecting the email address. So there's a trade-off. You want to capture their email address, but you want to bring people onto the platform so you can capture that email address. And I think one of the issues that legacy media organizations, or organizations that have people in it that are typically legacy, they want to bring you onto their platform, especially when they're charging money. They'll put clips out and then they'll drive you there to watch the whole episode. Dr. Phil here isn't charging money. So right now the name of the game is building up that audience for Merit Street Media. And because you're doing things that aren't necessarily in line with the mainstream media, you're having those conversations with people that the mainstream media typically won't do. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you stream that live stream on X, on YouTube, on whatever platforms you choose, so that people can start consuming that content. And while that content's running, you should have a ticker on the bottom, or you should have inline advertisements that are promoting the other shows and the Merit Street Media brand, as well as the website that you want people to go and capture and provide that information to, right? So you can capture their emails. Second, you have some really good content on there. I can tell you for myself, I would love to watch these episodes on X, right? Why would you want to put it on X so that people can view it? Because you're building up your brand. Because you have a big brand, obviously Dr. Phil, and now you're calling it Merit Street Media, but you're trying to bring in new viewers. When you have pieces of content like a Rudy Giuliani, like a Donald Trump, put it on X for people to watch. You don't have to leave it on there forever, but put it on there, and then during and throughout those pieces of content, you tell them to come back to Merit Street Media. Come back, check out Merit Street Media. Come check out these other interviews that we have over here. Use this as a platform to drive that business, but don't make people jump around to see the entirety of that piece of content, right? Say you have a 2-part interview. Put the full first part on there, and then the second part, you have them click on a link to go back to your site, sign up, and watch that piece of content. That would be my recommendation. 2, if you want to start charging membership, right? So most platforms like this, there is a membership fee for you to watch content. What you can do is leave certain amount of content open and free for X amount of time, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it is, to let people come onto your site and watch it without having to log in. Then if they want to see that legacy content, the content from the previous week, whatever it may be, now you have them sign in and capture that information. Or now you have them sign in and pay a small fee for a membership to see those older episodes. But try and make that first set of episode, that first launch of it, to be free, and put it out on these other platforms, which may generate some advertising dollars for you, but really you're just getting people familiar with Dr. Phil and the new type of content and Merit Street Media. So that would be my initial recommendations. Good job on having the Roku channels. You can see pretty common. You're putting a small clip on and then driving traffic back to Merit Street. Let's go through here. You got some good engagement when you're bringing on Take No Bull. Oh yeah, you're doing this new bull thing. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That would be something that if you want to drive new viewers to, put a live feed up on X. You don't have to do this for the entirety of the program, but you want to do it when you want to start bringing people over. I had no idea that you were doing bull shows. I looked on the George Santos interview. I clicked on the link, went over to your site, and I saw, hey, now all of a sudden you're doing live shows for bullfighting, bull riding. And I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Now, I don't have any necessary desire to go in and click and start watching that. But if you have that on a live feed, and I click on that live feed that's on X, and I start watching, hey, this is interesting. Where do I go to see the full episodes, to see, further competitions, whatever it may be, is then you drive them back to your site. And when you drive them back to your site, you do want to capture that email. You do want to capture that phone number. So you want to have some logins, but you may want to not just have people log in. Say they don't want to log in, set up an account, create a password. You could possibly be hacked. Let's hope that never happens. But there are people, they won't want to set up an account. They won't want to set up a password, but they do want to get emails from you. So having a way to capture that email, say for just a newsletter purposes or occasional updates, I would highly recommend that. That may be the way to do full pieces of content. Say you don't want to do a revenue-based viewership. Right? You have them go on, they start looking at an episode, they start watching that episode, and after 5 minutes, it pauses and requests they put in their email or their phone number. Boom. Then you got it. You got them interested in that content. You catch them in the middle of that content, and you say, hey, give me this information. You can watch the rest of this. We're not going to spam you, but we want to capture this information. So there are a few other things that you can do that are in line with the content that don't hinder that experience, and that you can still get the information that you want. So that is a quick review of Merit Street Media. I didn't go through the whole site. I just wanted to highlight a few things that I saw that were working, a few things. It looks really good, what you have going on. You've got it on your OTT channels. You've got a hell of a lineup. Steve Harvey, yourself, and many others. And who forever's watching this and you are a MAGA person, I highly recommend taking a look. Take a look at Dr. Phil's content. Take a look at his approach to some of these things, because I think he's leaning more into content that would be interesting to us. Not that he's saying he's MAGA, America First, but content that is based on common sense and that we would find interesting. So if you haven't checked out Dr. Phil in a while, you haven't checked out Merit Street Media, take a look and put a message in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. I'm RJ Johnston, and thanks for watching. Oh my God, how do I stop? How do I stop the recording? Where's this? There we go. Finish. Is it finished?